everyone, so today we're going to continue with Chapter 8, Section 6. We're going to be factoring when a times c is negative. We're on page 519 in our textbook. So last week we were factoring in the form of ax squared, so a is just whatever number we have, plus bx plus c. So as a reminder, a, b, and c are any number. A, b, and c, any number. So what we're going to do is multiply a times c, and then we're going to have to find factors of a times c that are going to add up to b, or they're going to have sum b. So we're going to add the factors of a times c that give us the sum of b. So a times c will be negative in this lesson. You will have to find the factors of negative ac that have the sum of b. So let's try this example. We have 3x squared plus 4x minus 15. So where a here is 3, b is 4, and c is negative 15. Now I'm saying it's negative 15, not just regular 15. Why? Because of this subtraction sign. So whenever there's like a subtraction sign in front of the number, we can then say that the number is negative. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take c, which I've circled here, and multiply it by a, which is 3. So we're going to multiply 3 times negative 15, and we get negative 45. So now we have to find factors of negative 45 that add up to positive 4. So let's start listing our factors of negative 45 and their sum. So negative 1 times positive 45 gives us negative 45. The sum of negative 1 and positive 45 is 44. We can also get negative 45 by doing positive 1 times negative 45. That gives us negative 45, but 1 plus negative 45 gives us negative 44. Negative 3 times positive 15 gives us negative 45. And negative 3 plus 15 gives us 12. We can also do positive 3 times negative 15. That gives us negative 45. But 3 plus negative 15 gives us negative 12. Negative 5 times positive 9 gives us 45. And negative 5 plus 9 gives us 4. And positive 5 times negative 9 also gives us negative 45, but positive 5 times negative 9 gives us negative 4. So now we got to look at this list over here. Out of which one of these factors has the sum of positive 4? So now we just look down our list of factors and what their sum is. No, 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 yes. So negative 5 and positive 9 have the sum of 4. So those are the factors that we're going to use. So what we do now is we rewrite this. And instead of we rewrite this whole original problem. So instead of using positive 4x, we're now going to use the factors that give us positive 4. And those factors are negative 5 and negative 9. So we just rewrite it using the factors, right? Because negative 5 plus 9 will give us 4. So that's how we're going to rewrite the 4. So now we rewrite the problem as 3x squared minus 5x plus 9x minus 15. Okay, now this comes to the point where we have to break it up into what? 2 separate problems. So I'm going to do the left side first, and then we're going to work with the right. So my first box I have is 3x squared minus 5x. Now I got to find what here? I got to find the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor here is x. So now I got to do the factoring. X times what is going to give me 3x squared back? 3x. And x times what is going to give me negative 5x? Negative 5. So now we factored out this orange box. Now, let's work with this box over here. Positive 9x minus 15. First thing we got to find is the greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor here is 3. So now we pull out the 3 and we write 3 and then open parentheses. 3 times what is going to give me 9x? 3x. 3 times what is going to give me negative 15? Negative 5. So now the factored form of 9x minus 15 is 3 times 3x minus 5. So now what we have to do is we see this is the part where I think on Friday in your classwork, some of you guys were getting a little confused. So do you see how in these pink highlighted sections here, we have a 3x minus 5 and a 3x minus 5? This is what we want. We want the two parentheses, like when we factor it out, that what's inside the parentheses to match each other. This is what I'm going to call as the twins. You want them to be exactly the same because when we rewrite that factored form, we're going to use this only once. We're only going to use one of these pink highlighted parentheses. So what I do is I write 3x minus 5. That's one of the factors. And then do you see how we have an x here and a 3 here? They're sitting outside the parentheses. That's what's going to go in our other set of parentheses. So I rewrite that. I write x plus 3. So my factored form of 3x squared plus 4x minus 15 is 3x minus 5 times x plus 3. Now, if I wanted to check this to see if this was a correct answer, how would I do that? I would use FOIL and I would get this answer back. So this right here inside this white highlighted box is our final answer. So now let's try this one. 10x squared plus 31x minus 14. So what's the first thing we got to do? We got to figure out what c is, and c is negative 14. So we're going to multiply a, which is 10, times negative 14. So 10 times negative 14 is negative 140. We got to find factors of negative 140 that add up to 31. So let's list our factors of negative 140 and their sum. So we can do negative 1 times 140, and their sum is 139. We can also do 1 times negative 140, and their sum is negative 139. We could do negative 2 and positive 70. Their sum is 68. We could also do 2 and negative 70, and their sum is negative 68. We could do negative 4 and 35. Their sum is 31. We could also do 4 and negative 35, and their sum is negative 31. And we can keep listing more factors, but I'm stopping here. Why? Because we need the sum, or our sum, to add up to positive 31, and I already have that positive 31 right here. So negative 4 and 35 give us negative 140, but when we add them together, we get 31. So that's why we're going to use negative 4 and 35. So our next step, let's rewrite the original problem using, instead of using 31x, we're going to use the factors that gave us 31x as our answer. So we have 10x squared minus 4x plus 35x minus 14. So now what we got to do is, at this point, we're going to break it up into two separate problems to do the factoring. So let's work with this box over here, 10x squared minus 4x. First thing we got to find is our greatest common factor, and that's 2x. Then we're going to factor it. So 2x, what gives us 10x squared back? 2x times 5x. And what gives us negative 4x? 2x times negative 2. So our factored form of this orange box is 2x times 5x minus 2. Now I got to factor this 35x minus 14. Got to find the greatest common factor, which is 7. And then we're going to factor it out. 7 times what's going to give me 35x? 7 times 5x. 7 times what is going to give me negative 14 times negative 2. So we have 2x times 5x minus 2 and 7 times 5x minus 2. We have our set of twins. We have 5x minus 2 in 2 places. So we're going to take only one of those parentheses and write 5x minus 2. Then we have this 2x and we have the 7 left over. What are we going to do? We're going to group those together. So we have 2x plus 7, right? Because it's plus 7 because why? There's no sign in front of the 7, so we assume it's positive. Group those together. So if we foiled this back together, if we foiled this, we would get this as our final answer. So our factored form of this is 5x minus 2 times 2x plus 7. Let's try this one. 4x squared minus 5x minus 6. So remember, c is negative 6. So a times c, so 4 times negative 6 gives me negative 24. And we have to find factors of negative 24 that add up to negative 5x. So we're going to list our factors of negative 24 and find their sum. So some factors, negative 1 and positive 24, add those two together, gives me 23. 1 and negative 24, add those two together, I get negative 23. Negative 2 and positive 12, add those together, I get positive 10. 2 and negative 12, add those together, I get negative 10. We can also do negative 3 times 8, add those two together, I get positive 5. I could also do 3 times negative 8, add those together, I get negative 5. We could keep going on with our list for factors of negative 24, but I'm going to stop here. Why? Because I'm looking for a sum of negative 5, and I found my sum of negative 5 right here. So I'm going to highlight that. So my next step is to rewrite this negative 5x using the factors, we're going to be using the factors that got us the negative 5. So I'm going to rewrite it as 4x squared plus 3x minus 8x minus 6. So all I'm doing is just rewriting this negative 5x using the factors instead. Why can I do that? Because if I added these together, I would get negative 5 back. So now we have 4x squared plus 3x minus 8x minus 6. Got to break it up into two separate problems. So we have 4x squared plus 3x. We factor those. We're going to find the greatest common factor here. Greatest common factor is x. So we put x times, how do I get 4x squared back? Multiply x times 4x. And how do I get 3x back? Multiply x times 3. So my factored form of 4x squared plus 3x is x times 4x plus 3. Done with this side of the problem. Now we're going to move over here. So we have negative 8x minus 6. Now, when you have two negatives right here, a negative and a negative, when you're getting the greatest common factor, I would find the greatest common factor here. The greatest common factor between these is 2, or is a negative 2. Forgot the negative sign. So when you have these two negatives right here, negative, negative, when you're working with your greatest common factor, I would say to always include your greatest common factor and have a negative sign in front of it. So here our greatest common factor is -2. So now we're going to use -2 on the outside, and then we're going to have to work backwards. -2 times what gives me -8x times +4x. -2 times what gives me -6, +3. So our factored form here is -2 times 4x plus 3. Now just say you didn't realize the greatest common factor was the -2. Well, when you would do this, you would have -4 here and -3 here. But remember, when we do this, we want these two boxes to match up. So you could kind of look back to this factored form in this problem we used over here. And look what you did, look what you got in this set of parentheses over here to know that you're going to have to get over here. So you would ask yourself, well, how would I get a +4? What would I have to multiply it by? So that's where you would think about using the negatives. So once again, we have our two twins, the 4x plus 3 and the 4x plus 3. We rewrite that only once. And now we're going to use the x and the -2, group those together. So x minus 2. So our final answer is 4x plus 3 times x minus 2. And lastly, let's try this one. 6x squared plus 7x minus 5. So our c is -5 and our a is 6. So 6 times -5 gives me -30. Now we have to find factors of -30 that add up to +7. So factors of -30 and their sum, we could do -1 times 30 and we get 29 when we add them, or 1 times -30, when we add them we get -29. We can also do -2 and 15. If we added them we get +13, or we could do 2 and -15. If we added those we get -13. We can also do -3 and +10. When you add those together we get 7. We can also do 3 and -10. If we add them we get -7. Now the list continues for factors of -30. I'm going to stop here. Why? Because I found the sum I was looking for. I have 7 here. So we're going to rewrite the original problem using the factors that gave us the sum of 7. So now we have 6x squared minus 3x plus 10x minus 5. Now we're going to break it into two separate problems to factor. So we have 6x squared minus 3x. We need to find the greatest common factor, which is 3x. So our factored form is 3x times 2x minus 1. Then we have this one over here, 10x minus 5. Greatest common factor is 5. And our factored form is 5 times 2x minus 1. Two sets of parentheses match, so we only use one of them. So we're using 2x minus 1. And then we have 3x and this 5 left over, so we group those together. So we now have 3x plus 5. So our final answer is 2x minus 1 times 3x plus 5. As always, here is our pet of the day. This is Truman. Some daily reminders. Your homework is assigned daily and is posted on Google Classroom and portals. Your homework is to be uploaded to Classroom or emailed to me before the start of class. If I don't get it before, it's late and you won't receive full credit. On Wednesday, 5:20, you will have a quiz on sections 8.5 and 8.6. Please let me know if you have any specific questions you want to go over in a review. On Tuesday, if you have anything, just send me an email and I'll be sure to include it. And have a great day, guys.